Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the start of a new show known as Dastardly Duos, where I will take the combinations you love to use and hate to see, and I will break them down to the point of pain and suffering. Pudge and Omniknight. This is recently one of my favorite combos to do simply because of the near perfect synergy these heroes can have with each other, leading into massive early to mid game presence and even securing the late game by slaughtering the enemy to the point where they are terrified to leave their base due to a lack of farm and to the fact that they'll be killed instantly upon doing so. So I know that everybody here loves math, so let us do a little bit of math. Meat Hook at level 4 does 360 pure damage. Purification at level 4 also does 360 pure damage. Now I know most of you have brain power enough to solve this ridiculous equation, but for those of you who don't, 360 plus 360 equals 720 pure damage. But triage, you possibly 8k god of a player. However, will I let the nuke from Purification work with it having such a small radius? Is something you may say. My response to that is rely on Pudge. Sorry to the Pudge players, but you gotta learn how to let that meat hook fly.
God damn it! God damn it! God damn it!
There's more math to be had and more synergy to be found in this too. Pudge's spell Rot deals 120 magic damage per second to the enemy and himself. However, Omniknight's Repel negates the self-damage effect while still doing damage to the enemy, allowing for Pudge to rot without worry. If we combo this with Dismember at, say, rank 1 and assume Pudge is level 9, that'll be 120 magic damage per second from Rot, plus roughly 75 magic damage per second from Dismember because of the strength modifier in the recent patch makes things a little bit strange. So then let's put all the math together. So that is going to be 360 pure damage from Purification plus 360 pure damage from Meat Hook equaling 720 pure damage. Plus, we're going to assume at the point that Pudge hooks you and uses Dismember on you and you walking out of the radius of Rot will be about 4 seconds. So we're going to say 120 times 4 equaling 480 for the Rot damage, plus 75 times 3 equaling 225 for Dismember. So if we throw all of that together, that is going to be 720 plus 480 plus 225. If we add 480 plus 225 and then we add the passive magic resistance modifier, we're going to come out to a total of 1,260 damage. That's not including the auto attacks from Omniknight and Pudge and whoever else may be around. Also, remember that this is damage that's going to be being dealt around the 10 to 15 minute mark. Hardly any hero in the game will have the HP pool to survive this unless they specifically build into it or have a very good escape mechanism, such as a Queen of Pain's Blink, or an Anti-Mage's Blink. I hate them both. The final bit of synergy is actually one of my favorite bits. Rot slows the enemy by 27%, and Omniknight has a built-in slow from Degeneration Aura, which even just a single point in will add an extra 10% to the slow. This is also nice with the recent patch buff, which increases the stickiness of the debuff in the event that the person runs out of the Omniknight's aura range. So, what is the combo? Pudge does his standard hook, Rot, Dismember. Omniknight is going to be following Pudge. He will Purify after the hook is landed, then repel Pudge to prevent the Rot self-damage and to prevent Dismember from being cancelled from nearby enemies. When it all goes off without a hitch, it's going to look something like this.
Get over here! Let's get
To make this combo work, there isn't much you need to change with the item builds. Pudge builds like a Pudge because his playstyle is generally unchanged and he just gets a sidekick. Kind of like Batman and Robin if Batman was a bit more like Hannibal Lecter, and Robin has no place in this illustration, so you can shut up. The only items I highly recommend with this are to get an Orb of Venom with Omni, and that he needs Arcane Boots. The Orb of Venom is nice because it works well with Degen Aura and Rot to ensure people can't get away, in addition to giving Omniknight a better laning phase if an early kill presents itself or for simple harassment. For anyone that is dumber than Yandi after pounding 5 cups of salt, Omniknight has a low mana pool. Pudge has a low mana pool. Arcane Boots help with this. Get the Arcane Boots, get the Rampage, get Gaben to praise you for your Rampage. How to counter it. Now, here's the tricky part. Everyone wants to see a combo and then cry how it's unbalanced and go back to their Lego set because they can't handle thinking outside of the box. The most simple way to counter this is to just have map and positioning awareness. Now, I get it for everyone who's not 4K and has no idea what the hell I just said. Basically, step 1, look at the map. If you see them coming, avoid them. Use the wards. If you have none, buy them. It's pretty easy. The next thing is, stay together. Look, I know you have to prove to your 2.5k MMR friend, who may or may not be a girl in real life, that you can solo the enemy team. But you gotta swallow your pride. Pudge and Omni can easily pick off 1, 2, sometimes even 3 people if well coordinated. 5-manning though, or 4 while your carry is busy crapping himself in the jungle/safe lane is fine too. Just don't get caught out. Other ways to counter this exist, so don't worry, there's always direct hope for a counter. As for huge hero counters, Silencer gets a special mention, because it doesn't matter if you have Repel up, Global Silence will always cancel Dismember. If you find yourself dying around him, your already present mana issues will get a lot worse. That being said, most Silencers don't know who to target with what and when, so I'll help you all Silencer players. Get the Omniknight. Silence him, find some way to keep him from doing stuff. Next, mana control. Mana control is a great way to shut it down, and Outworld Devourer does a really nice job of this with both his ulti and his Arcane Orb. And because Omniknight and Pudge are pretty much dumb as bricks, sporting a 14 plus 1.5 intelligence gain and a 17 plus 1.8 intelligence gain, respectively, Outworld Devourer will have a heyday. Of course, another counter is pure damage. Pure damage is always great around any kind of damage mitigation. Now, before you go and pick Timbersaw, don't do it unless you want to make the Pudge and the Omniknight very happy, and here's why. See, Timbersaw deals pure damage, and you can even shave their HP with Whirling Death because they're both strength heroes. Here's the issue with that, it's all useless. You're going to do them a favor when you Timber Chain in, putting yourself in perfect positioning for a Dismember. Omniknight will simply drop a Purification on himself or Pudge, healing them for the damage you just dealt. Then he'll throw a Repel on Pudge, and you saved Pudge the trouble of having to hook you. You can enjoy reactive armor, reducing all of the physical damage that isn't going to be dealt because it's all pure and magical, and continue to feed more. However, Queen of Pain is beautiful for this. She has a built-in blink that can generally save her before she gets dismembered. Her ultimate will go through Repel, and with Orchid Malevolence being a common item built on her, she can generally silence Omniknight before he can do much in a fight. Next is Magic Immunity. Nearly all damage that this combination can do to burst you down is countered with Magic Immunity. Whether you're a Lifestealer using Rage, Juggernaut using Blade Fury, or any other character just buying a BKB. If you get hooked, pop your BKB before you get dismembered, just take the dismember stun, and it's the only stun they have that will pierce BKB. Use a TP scroll to get away, or your team should be able to respond in time and you can actually do a very nice turnaround. Next is item counters. Now, In Dota, you can counter anything and everything with the proper item build in most circumstances. I already mentioned Orchid Malevolence being great because it silences the Omniknight or whoever you use it on, also providing a nice damage boost. If you are playing against an Omniknight, you should always find a way to dispel the abilities he has, whether that be through silences or through an actual dispel ability such as Shadow Demon's ultimate, a tornado from Invoker, or anything else. Of course, the biggest thing that I'm dancing around with this is that you should get Diffusal Blade. Some people it's not great on, but if you actually examine the stats, it could be extraordinarily useful, and the active instantly destroys him. Next is Scythe of Vice. To keep it short and sweet, Pudge can get silenced and it can get dispelled from Omniknight using Repel. Hex, on the other hand, will keep him disabled. And if it's used on Omniknight before he gets his spells off and Omniknight can get burst down, congratulations, you probably just want to fight because you now don't have to worry about any of Omniknight's defensive spells. Now we have Force Staff. Force Staff is a great item for this. It's cheap, it can let you get away, give you that extra push if you've already been hooked or if you're really scared you're about to get hooked. You just have to be careful that the Pudge doesn't have a Force Staff himself, a Blink Dagger, and of course he doesn't land that second hook on you. When all is said and done, this is a really great combo if executed properly. It's not necessary to lane this combo together, simply meet up after Pudge is level 6 or 7. If Pudge is soloing the mid lane and Omniknight is in a duo lane in the safe lane, Omniknight should be level 5 around the time Pudge is level 6 or 7. Don't forget that everything can be countered and anything can always be worked around. You just have to think outside the box. And of course, you can always pray that the enemy Pudge that you may be against is definitely a confirmed 1 IQ point, or he could always just play like Yandi.
Alright, kick back, relax, and let's hit it again. While you go tell your mother, father, cousin, and kid, and your other friends that don't even have a clue what this 2-2 crew is about to do. You know it ain't fool's gold, this is kryptonite. Super MCs freeze when I hit the mic, right? EFF is the AKA.
Nice meme. Nice meme. Nice meme. Nice meme. Nice meme.